Oh, she's discovered soccer. Kick it again. Okay, kick it. Good kick. She's off to the races. Wipe out.
When Ashley and Brianna were starting out things, we actually started having them in dance. I think Ashley was 4 or 5. And so I was proud papa with my camera there videotaping. And the one thing I noticed when Ashley was out on stage is she didn't have a smile on her face doing the dance.
She could just tell that that was not her thing, that she had a lot more energy and she needed to find something that suited her more.
So the next year, just talking with my daughters, Ashley was like, you know, Dad, I want to do sports.
Ever since I can remember, I just wanted to be Ashley. Like, she's my best friend. I idolized her because she's so amazing, right? So we did dance, and then all of a sudden I noticed she's not there anymore, and I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? And then I see how much fun she's having in sports, and I was like, yeah, like I told my dad, I was like, I'm sorry, dance is great, but I'm doing what she's doing.
As soon as I can remember, my dad had me playing like t-ball with the boys because the girls didn't start playing until they were older, and he just wanted to put me in sports. He also had me playing tennis. I ran like cross country and track, and then played softball, and then came soccer.
You didn't like soccer at first either.
Yeah, because I started playing later, like we had positions, and we actually had to like stay in our positions. I thought you could just chase the ball around, but because I started later, my coach kept telling me to stay on the left side. He's like, stay on the side, and I was like, why? The ball's over there. So I didn't like it at first, but my parents made me finish the season, and I didn't score a goal the whole year except for like my last game. And I remember my last game, driving home, like I was super excited, super pumped. I was like, Dad, like, can you believe I scored a goal? And then he kind of like turned back to me. He was like, of course I can believe it, and you're gonna score a lot more. And I was kind of just like, oh.
That was like the beginning.
Once we started playing club soccer, playing Sundays kind of entered our world, and we needed to decide as individuals and as a family, like, what we wanted to do. Me being the oldest, I knew whatever I decided to do kind of set the precedence for my younger siblings. And at the time, it was a really like hard decision because we were getting pressure from our coaches and teammates of like, hey, like, we need you guys. And so it was like, I don't want to let my teammates down, but also this aspect of my religion and my faith is really important to me.
So I sat down and I said, okay, well, if we do the club thing, it's a Sunday. You know, we don't try not to do things on Sunday and keep the Sabbath day holy. And so they understood that. And I said, so that's something that, you know, we're up against and you guys are up against.
We prayed about it, and I ultimately decided that I didn't want to. From early on, started telling our coaches like, hey, like, we really appreciate being on this team, but if we're gonna continue, like, we would like to not participate on Sundays.
By going through that experience, that helped me gain that foundation and that testimony, like, no, this is what I'm gonna stick to. I don't care what everyone else thinks or does or says. I'm not gonna play on Sundays.
I think I was blessed in many ways because of that decision, and maybe not the ways that people would think. I don't think my path was really any easier. I think I was blessed because it made the path a little bit harder.
You know, you don't want to play on Sunday. You need to even be better. You need to be better than most of the girls. And so when Brianna and Ashley were playing together, they just had to really prove that they were good enough to be on the team. And sometimes they missed championship games. And later on, they got to play against some of those teams that weren't on Sunday and got to shine no matter what. And I think they were really blessed, and I think it strengthened their testimony. We can still play our sport, but we can also choose the right and go to church and serve our Heavenly Father at that time.
My first camp with BYU was the summer going into my freshman year of high school. I think it was like at that camp that we became like BYU soccer fans, like true BYU soccer fans. And then every year we kept coming back. I think it was the summer after my sophomore year that Jen invited me into her office and said that they would love for me to be a member of the BYU women's soccer team.
The left foot, headed in! Ashley Hatch with her 13th goal of the season. That ball skips across. Pressgrave retreating. Vasconcelos to Medeiros. And put back in! Ashley Hatch scores 2 goals in under a minute.
We met playing basketball, but we didn't go on a date for like a month later. And then we just casually went on dates here and there. But at the time, I had already been drafted to the North Carolina Courage. And so I kind of had my sights set on like leaving. I was focused on soccer. And Jeff was really kind and definitely encouraged me and, just like, yeah, go do it. Like, this is great. That's awesome that you're doing that.
We'd have phases of being in and out of talking to each other. Or, I would go on other dates, and try to figure something out, but I always came back to Ashley. And finally in 2018, when she went to DC, we kind of, I was a few more years into my schooling, and we could see kind of like, we can make the distance work somehow. And we did. And then in 2019, we finally got married.
I tell people all the time, like, I don't think I would be playing this long and this far into my career if it wasn't for Jeff. His support and his like belief in me from like very early on was huge, and I was able to continue to like believe in myself and just push myself and continue to like climb that ladder and get to where I am. My first ever call up with the U.S. Women's National Team was my senior year at BYU. Jen called me into her office and she was like, I just got a call from Jill Ellis. Do you know who that is? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, they have a camp coming up and it's starting here in Salt Lake City and they want to invite you. So I was super excited, and she just congratulated me and she's like, you might want to go call your dad.
So yeah, my heart was just pounding. I was just like, wow. I mean, it was always a goal of hers and of ours. We set out as, she loved watching the U.S. Women's National Team as a little kid. And so to get that call as a college player at BYU was just so surreal.
They had a game at Rio Tinto against Switzerland, and I got the opportunity to step on the field and wear the uniform for the first time. And it was basically a dream come true.
To see her walk on the field and to see her, her name light up, and the crowd was cheering for her.
I was literally just like shaking because I was so happy for her. And I just remember the girls cheering her name, and I was like, that's right, that's my sister.
It was kind of a sneak peek into like, is this what I really want to do? And it definitely was, like, being able to play with girls that are just faster, stronger, quicker, smarter. I was like, I want to get to this level. I had prayed about if going the professional route was for me, and I felt a lot of overwhelming peace about it, and I knew that wherever I would go or wherever I would get drafted, that I would be able to find a Ward family. I got drafted 2nd overall, which I also wasn't really sure about. I didn't know where I was gonna go, how early my name was gonna get called, but once my name got called to go to North Carolina, I was super excited, and I didn't start till like halfway through the season. And once I started scoring goals, I quickly created a name for myself, and people knew who I was. And so winning Rookie of the Year was really cool, just because I was like, wow, like I can do this, I can play among all these players. But after winning Rookie of the Year, I got traded. I went from the best team in the league to the worst team in the league at the time. And I've been with that team, the Washington Spirit, since. And we've climbed our way up, and we were the 2021 NWSL champions. So I was able to win a championship with the Washington Spirit. And in that same year, I also won Golden Boot, which is the most goals scored during the season.
Ashley's just a pure goal scorer, and she showed that in the league the last couple of years. And so for her to get the opportunity and be here now consistently, she's done great.
Having that successful year that we had, they have this award called Best NWSL Player. If you know how SBs work, it's voting, so like everyone votes. And I got the most votes.
Play it sideways. There we go.
The DC Temple open house happened this past year. I extended the invite to every single one of my teammates, and I said, hey, we get this unique opportunity to walk through the temple before it's rededicated. And I had about 6 players take me up on it. once we started touring the temple and walking through, like, I didn't realize like how vulnerable I would feel because I was sharing such a huge part of my life with them.
We have some really good friends named Jacob and Julia, and they're from Sweden. And Julia plays soccer, and so she came over from Sweden 2021 for that season, and we just connected really well with them.
So Julia and Jacob were part of the group that went to the temple open house. They really enjoyed it. They thought the grounds were beautiful and the temple was beautiful and whatnot. And that was that. And then the next week we had a Challenge Cup semifinal game, and it went into PK, so into penalty shootout. And Julia had to step up and take a penalty. She stepped up. It was a beautiful penalty, slammed it upper 90, like perfect. And so after the game, when we had won and we celebrated, and I was like, I'm so proud of you. Your penalty kick was awesome. And she's like, you know what I did? I was so nervous that like I just needed to connect to some higher power than myself. And so I remembered that peace that I felt in your church. She was talking about the temple. I remembered how I felt there and how peaceful and like connected to a higher power that I felt. And so I just thought of that, and it calmed me down, and I was so calm, and I was ready to take that PK. It was just really cool to be able to be a part of that story for her and to be able to help her create a little bit more peace in her life during a penalty shootout.
Ashley and I are always looking for ways to give back and use her platform that she's been blessed with to help and influence. She's in a unique position with her faith and her religious background. We literally pray for ways, how can we influence others? How can we use her platform to spread light and to spread joy to people?
You know, she came up, on her own with this charity type thing called Boots from Pros, because she saw kids in communities that couldn't afford soccer cleats.
This organization, what we do is I collect boots, either lightly used or brand new, from my teammates. I find youth players who need them. I box the boots up. It comes with a note from Boots from Pros, essentially just encouraging them to pass on the good deed whenever they get the opportunity. And then my favorite part is it comes with a note from the player who donated the boots. So it's just a really cool way to connect on a more personal level with the youth players while also providing them with a brand new pair of boots to help them succeed on the field. When I came and played here with the U.S. Women's National Team, we put together a charity tailgate, and 100% of the proceeds went to Journey of Hope. And Journey of Hope is an organization that helps women in all walks of life either get back on their feet, overcome a challenge or an addiction, or some of them are coming out of the prison system. So it's just it was a way for us to give back to our Utah community and our Utah family, and also just raise awareness for women in Utah that there are resources out there like Journey of Hope. It was really cool to come back and play with the national team again and step on Rio Tinto in front of all my Utah family and friends. I didn't get too many minutes, but I did get in at the very end of the game. So needless to say, I was very excited and anxious to get on the field, and I ended up getting a yellow card at the end of the game.
She's hardcore on the field, which I want her to be. But I used to say, I'll give you $1 or $2 if you score a goal. But I said, I'll give you $5 if you get a yellow card. I think her first yellow card was when she was a junior in high school. That's just the kind-hearted person that she is. So many girls come from so many different backgrounds. And the one thing that I think that every single one of them would say is that Ashley is a kind person.
She lived up to what she wanted to do. She lived up to her standards. She lived up to her goals that she set for herself at an early stage of her life.
I had a lot of people say, you're not going to be able to play in college because all the college coaches only come and watch the championship games, and those are on Sundays. And I just had to believe a lot in myself and my teammates, and just believe that all the hard work that we were putting in would eventually pay off. I think it would be pretty crazy if my 10-year-old self saw me right now and the journey that I've taken and the things that I've been able to accomplish up to this point. It's not easy, but it's definitely worth it, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying the challenge, and I'm very hopeful that I can participate in the World Cup and Olympics one day. So that's what I'm working hard to hopefully do. There are a lot of outside things that are not part of my control, but I'm gonna do everything that's inside my control to make that dream a reality.